This is going to be your full moon reading for Tuesday, December 29th, and the full moon is in Cancer, so if you've been experiencing big feelings over the last, week or so, that could have something to do with it. It's also a really wonderful way to end the year. It's been a pretty raw year, and this full moon will kind of bring out that tenderness in us, and if we can take really good care of ourselves and our loved ones, it will hopefully put us on track to have a much gentler new year. So I've been shuffling these for a while, but I'm gonna give it a few more shuffles and we'll look at a few different areas. I like to do one card at a time, and I'll let you know what the position means before I turn it over. Oh, jumper, better keep that one right there. And then I will let you know how everything else plays in. Okay. So this is the last full moon of 2020, and I appreciate your patience with me not being able to do a newsletter for a couple of months. I was running my course and it was wonderful, but it was also very time consuming, and I just did not have the time or the spoons for readings or anything outside of the course, basically. All right, so the first card we're going to look at, this one is going to be where we are currently, right now, as the year ends. Oh, interesting. So we got the Lord. The Lord is, in other decks, the Emperor. And this is a card of firmness and fairness. It's often thought of as the card that represents the archetypal father. But we like to, or certainly in my practice, I don't associate gender with any of these. So this would be a masculine energy. We might be finally, after this year of change and adaptation, we might be finding our footing, because this is a card, especially being a 4, it's a card of foundation, stability, finding our rock, finding out where and how we keep ourselves together in trying times. So it's a really positive start here, and where we are finding ourselves. This card here is going to represent a challenge or a blockage that we might be facing right now. King of Pentacles. That's interesting, because those two energies are similar in so many ways. So I would say that there's a stubbornness here, seeing those two together. That's where we go beyond foundation and we really dig our heels in. So that's that's the trouble when we are someone who, or when we've been, and I don't like to say forced, but when we've been in a position all year where we've really had to rethink our whole life, our career, the way we do things, and I think that's a good thing. But what can happen is sometimes we feel like we've been pushed too far, and we just say enough, and we dig our heels in, and we're not willing to flex at all. And I feel like that could be where a lot of us are at the end of this year, because we're just, a lot of us have changed the way we work, where we work, how we work, how we interact with our family and friends. And so it could be that we're just at that point where we're saying enough. But, given what we're facing, it's also a really good time to be resilient, and we're probably fatigued. We're probably tired of holding that stance. So just look for places that you can relax a little bit rather than being in a defensive mode and really planted. Look for areas where you can relax a little bit, where you can, if you have access to the forest for hikes, get outside, get fresh air, stretch your legs, get out, from your 4 walls, that kind of thing. And just be careful not to get stuck, because as things do ease up, you might find that you're unwilling to accept any more change. So the next card is going to be, moving into 2021, something to release, something to leave behind and move away from. And we've got, 6 of Swords, which is literally a card of moving away from. So that's kind of neat. And I apologize for my camera. It does that weird twitchy thing. I'm hoping to have new equipment in the new year, but this is what I'm working with for now. 6 of Swords is, traditionally it can be known as a card of literally moving away, or a physical moving away from something. But if we think about the fact that swords they're all about our mind, our thought processes, our logic, our communication. So this moving, I see as more of a moving away from a certain way of thinking, or a certain neurological pattern, the pathways we have in our brain that sometimes, especially following these cards, sometimes we get stuck in a rut where we're doing the same thing for so long that we really can't imagine another way. So the Six of Swords will invite us to bring some flow back into our life, and that's where, if we do allow ourselves to have a bit of give here, we may discover a new path for ourselves that could be even better than it was before. So moving away from this stubbornness, letting go of the way we've been thinking in the areas where it's not serving us. I mean, if we've figured out a new way to think that's really served us well in everything we've faced this year, then by all means stay moving towards that, but feel free to leave behind any ways of thinking that are holding you back or are not going to serve you well as you grow and move into a new year. All right, this is something to nurture, something to kind of work on, hold close, moving into the new year. Oh, nice. Three of Cups. So this is a card of friendship, companionship. It's, it can be said that it's to gather friends around, like some of the other cards, but I also think of it as just celebrating your chosen family. If you're fortunate enough to have one or two people in your bubble that are, your safe people as far as the virus goes, then to really celebrate those people, even if you can't do it in person. And it's funny, I've seen this card come up a lot this year. And I've also seen how a lot of people are adapting in really unique and amazing ways. There's Zoom calls, which I know never quite the same as seeing people in person, but they still celebrate each other. You still get to see the person's face rather than just talking on the phone. So there's been, I think, little celebrations happening. I've seen people going to someone's house and talking to them from the ground and the other person's on the porch. So actually going out of our way to be innovative and find ways to connect with the people that matter most to us. And conversely, it's been kind of interesting because it's made it much easier to shed people who aren't good for us, people who aren't chosen family, who don't support us in the same way we support them, who maybe are just don't have our highest and best in mind. So it's been a good year for that, to really bring close, although alternatively, people that matter and people that are really important to us, as well as move away from people who are maybe harming us or maybe just need some more time on their own path to be able to be closer to us in a more healthy way. This card is going to be sort of like an incoming something to embrace in the new year. And we have, oh nice, Princess of Cups. So this works really well with this one on either side. So the Princess of Cups, known as the Page of Cups in other decks, is this feeling of a new emotion. So if we move away from emotions that are kind of holding us back and allow ourselves to feel gratitude, we move into this place where we feel kind of inspired. And it's almost like, it's like when you have someone in your life and all of a sudden one day you just look at them differently and you see them differently, and it's this beautiful feeling. Cups are emotions, they're watery, they're, nostalgia, love, all of those wonderful feelings that we feel in our heart space. And the princess is sort of that inspired, the first flicker of that. So it's that kind of, the butterfly in your stomach feeling when something really excites you. But in this case, I think it might be someone who is a friendship that has suddenly evolved and you feel very almost like they are chosen family, or you may find a new way to love yourself or love the people around you. It's just this kind of refreshing, wherever you've been holding pain and feeling, sore and stuck. The Princess of Cups brings this sort of rejuvenation, kind of fills your cups back up and lets you feel that sort of joy and just an inspired kind of gratitude and love overall. So that's promising. Last card is going to be our meditation card, which is just something to keep close over the next few months. It's not a prediction, it's just something that, an energy we can pay attention to over the next few months. And we've got the High Priest in reverse. So this is also known as the Hierophant. And I'm going to turn them around so you can see better, but so there might be a delay. So the High Priest usually represents a new kind of spiritual path, but learning from traditional knowledge. So sometimes this is mentorship, where you may find someone who has a lot of knowledge in the path you want to take, and you kind of mentor underneath them. It can be you offering mentorship to someone else. And it can be any kind of institutional learning as well, like college or university. Being that it's in reversed, it might be stalled a little bit. So it doesn't mean that's not going to happen, but if you were sort of geared up to do some sort of further studies. It might mean that you have to do it differently. If we're still, following quarantine orders, it might mean that you have to seek out a mentor online, which the benefit to that is that you have a greater expanse of people to choose from. So you don't necessarily have to choose somebody who's geographically close. You could choose someone who aligns much better with what you want to learn, but is on the other side of the world. So it'll just be kind of like a blip or a bit of a sidestep in a path that you're planning to take. Another way this could manifest is if you've been following a certain path and you hit a point where something doesn't resonate. And because these are often spiritual paths, the way I can relate to it is, when we're learning about spirituality and religion, sometimes we'll get really interested in one and we'll get to a certain point and realize that there's some aspect of that religion that we just can't get on board with, or it just doesn't align for us. That's the other way the high priest can show up reversed, is sort of a hiccup in a line of study that you were following. So in that case, it could be interesting to take an eclectic approach and, draw from, without culturally appropriating things from other cultures, but drawing from different belief systems and finding out what works best for you. A lot of people like myself who are eclectic witches, we believe in a lot of the Buddhist theories, we, follow a lot of different traditions. So it is okay to make your spiritual path your own. And I think that speaks quite strongly here too. And I suspect that this year probably put us all in a place to really rethink how we view the world and how we treat each other. So yeah, just don't worry about how your spiritual path looks, I would say. Going forward, don't be afraid to be curious, learn about different religions, learn about different belief systems. If you find someone who you love to learn from and it's a good time, and pursue it. But yeah, everybody's path can look different. It doesn't have to necessarily be the prescribed learning path that other people choose. So that's about it. So overall, we've got a really nice flow back into the new year. We might be finding ourselves a bit stubborn, but if we learn where we're willing to let go of our grip a little bit and flow, like in the Six of Swords, feel gratitude, we'll move into a place where we can feel love more fully and more like we did as children. That youthful kind of love that's not tainted by all the doubt and the adult concerns that we bring into it. And then if we're feeling called to learning another level to our spiritual self or philosophical self, to not worry too much about how it looks. It's okay to piece it together. So I hope that was helpful. I wish all of you the absolute best in 2021, which always sounds like a science fiction movie when I say it. But let's hope for a really good year of abundance and continued learning and lots of love. So that's all for now, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.